Hello and welcome to Keegan's deep dive into business conversations that matter for the future of SIM. My name is B. Hayes Thakur and I'm the VP of Marketing at Keegan. And today it's a pleasure to host you for this Future of SIM conversation, the first edition of 2026 with our partners Flowlive. We will be exploring the latest developments for product designers, engineering, and operational teams addressing eSIM connection and eSIM connected devices, their management and orchestration at scale. Focus specifically on OEMs and enterprise challenges, we today, along with my esteemed panel of experts, will unpack enterprise challenges, how particularly we can simplify the management of devices and easing transitions across tackling the day one and day two problems that prove the success of any IoT deployment. You can find out more and keep ahead of the latest developments by following us at Keegan and tagging us in your Future of SIM conversations on LinkedIn. Previously on this series, we have covered the SGP.32 standards, the basics of it, what it means, how do you go about managing devices, and what this means also for those looking at device integration from a product point of view. Today, however, we take the next step. We look at what goes beyond the SGP.32 specification. How do you really develop compliance from various points of view, ensuring that you can migrate to SGP.32 and the huge demand that IoT eSIMs are seeing from factory to field, addressing the realities that exist in field, and ensuring that you're compliant through the life cycle of the device. We'll also examine how roles evolve in the SGP.32 world and really the very interesting challenge that lies in hybrid developments, understanding how your IoT eSIMs will function with older SIMs, with SIMs that you may already have invested in from prior standards, as well as where you will be reconciling multiple connectivity relationships and how this aggregation can be an enabler for scale and how to do this with ease. Ultimately, I hope you will help us drive the conversation forward through your questions. So just a reminder, please use your chat function to give the panelists a view of the questions you'd like to ask. And I assure you that time permitting, we will address as many as we can today. If we can't get to your questions, we will make sure that we come back to you through a long form explanation. So who is this session for? This session is for product developers and device makers who are developing the next generation products for IoT future with eSIMs in it. Also, those who are looking to deploy solutions that are compliant with emerging regulations such as the EU Cybersecurity Resilience Act. This also will be really important for global enterprises who are looking to truly manage this operational transition from product, prototype, pilot to full scale. Something that in the operational world we call day one and day two transitions. Hopefully the lessons and the practices we share today will help you build readiness, ensure reliability and resilience for scaled operations. This session might also be useful and helpful for any operator or mobile virtual network operator and connectivity providers who are looking to expand IoT coverage, seeing and serving the SGP.32 demand. Ultimately, anyone who is looking to simplify how you get to a multi-regional IoT operation with a trusted core and trusted CMP aggregation will find this information useful. So please stay with us. We've talked a little bit about how we've covered SGP.32, the standard, earlier in the sessions. And it's a pleasure to welcome Flowlive with us today, following the very announcement that was made last week on their new offering, which includes and builds upon Keegan's eSIMs, REIM, and in-factory profile provisioning. So without further ado, please allow me to pass you on to our panelists, Jean-Louis Carrera from Keegan and Nadav Doran from Flow Live. Please, gentlemen, introduce yourselves and give us a 2 seconds on each of our organizations as well, please.
Hi, I'm Jean-Louis Carrera. I'm responsible for sales at Keegan. Thank you, B, for setting up this webinar and having us here. Keegan is an eSIM service provider, and we're providing solutions that enable the management of how devices connect in the IoT in the cellular world.
Thank you, Jan. Hello, everyone. My name is Nadav Doran. I'm in charge of the product team in Flow Live. Very happy to be here today, and thank you for the Keegan team for arranging this webinar. Very happy to talk about SGP.32. With Flow Live, we are providing connectivity for IoT devices from the SIM. We have an applet that we build on the SIM, and then the core and the billing and the entire CMP process for that. Our main feature, as you can see, is that we provide seamless deployment on a global IoT connectivity network, which performs at local scale, as we have dozens of point of presence deployed around the world. So we have global capabilities or global scale with a local presence. That's it for now. I'll be back later after Jean-Louis' session and talk about how we see the SGP.32 offering combined to ours.
Thank you, Nadav. So I'm going to spend a few minutes presenting how we see SGP.32 in its implementation. As B has mentioned, we've had a series of webinars on SGP.32 that have been explaining how this specification came to reality. Also, REIM that we have been operating now for close to a year and a half, and its certification within SASSM, which happened a year ago now. The fact that we have had an EIM operating for a year and a half, certified SSM for a year, using IPAE, has enabled us to carry out testing, and a lot of testing over the last 12 to 18 months. What we have noticed in the course of these tests is that, of course, there's a specification, but then there's, of course, the implementation. And it's always very different, as B was referring to day 0 to day 1 and day 2. Now I think we're between 1 and 2, and a lot of companies are starting to realize that what they were sold with the specifications might not be what they have actually acquired with their contract. So what the EIM is a new system which replaces the SMSR of SGP.02 for remote controlling of the EUICCs, the fleet of EUICCs on the field. Key to the EIM is the ability to swap the EIM. That's a technical feature that is standardized, but then again, it needs to be tested, implemented, and allowed in your commercial and legal contracts. And that's where most likely vendors might actually lock in their customers. So the EIM gives the ability to provide either direct or indirect downloads of profiles from SMDP+, which might be existing SMDP+, that are used to communicate to SGP.22 smartphones, or they can be set up specifically for SGP.32. So We have made sure over the course of testing that our solution works with both SGP.22 and SGP.32. And our certified OS actually supports both 22 and 32, including the IPAE, which doesn't have to be used, but can be used. And then SGP.32 moves the ownership and the management control to the device owners. That's if they want to, of course. Otherwise, they can let their connectivity service providers, such as FlowLive, manage their fleet as they want. Next, please. So the eSIM is really managed by the EIM, which is the unique source of truth about what is happening in the EUICC. So you can have one set of APIs and UI where you can see which profiles are active, downloaded, disabled, where you can actually manage your EUICCs remotely. And the ability to see what is being active is also what requires integration with the CMP, and that's what Nadav will talk to us about in the second part of this presentation. Now, our EUICC at Keegan is ESS certified. It's a recent phenomenon, but we're very proud of this achievement for multiple reasons. It's probably the most compact operating system that exists that is SGP.32 available. It includes an IPAE, and it's still available on a very small chip, which allows us to support the MFF4 form factor, which is 2x2. That alone is a differentiator that will really, I would say, apply best for wearables. Right? Now, when you look at the EIM, you look at the operational advantages, you have to look at not only can it do direct download, which then requires the profiles to be most likely SGP.32 and so forth. And that's not necessarily going to be the case. You have to make sure your EIM supports indirect profile download and full compatibility with the SMDB plus fleet that's already out there. Some operators have clearly announced that they will download SGP.22 profiles for SGP.32 implementations. So it is important to ensure this interoperability. And that's what you can do via your EIM, via indirect profile download. That also allows to firewall your devices that are on the private internet from DP+, which sit on the public internet. What it allows also is the ability to change the protocols from chatty protocols such as HTTPS and JSON, and actually adapt them to constrained devices that might be using CoAP or potentially using lightweight M2M or other protocols. So we have one of our customers that have actually demonstrated publicly recently at UBBA for utilities the ability to pass on not only EIM commands over their specific device management protocol, DLMS, but they were also able to download profiles via our in-factory profile provisioning suitable for manufacturing, which is not connected. So that is something that actually it has been made public, so you can see that. But it's important to see that your EIM can support other protocols than just HTTPS. The next, please. So at Keegan, we support all RSP services. We support SGP.02, which is bound to be replaced and is set to be replaced by SGP.32. You see on this slide that we put DP+ in between 22 and 32 because actually they're going to be used for either or both. And then the EIM is specifically for 32 for remote management of EUICCs that are in devices that don't carry their own UI and don't and will never have user intent to download profiles. At Keegan, we provide integration services for the device. We have an SDK in C, which is our reference design that even includes an SMDP plus and an IPAD. So you have everything you need there to implement that in your constrained devices. Should you want to use an IPAD because you want to use Wi-Fi or some other communication channel. And otherwise, for the retrofitting, it's much easier to use the IPAE that's already on board that almost automatically and easily replaces an SGP.02 implementation. So you have also, we make clear at Keegan that we provide the EIM, we provide the APIs, we provide campaign services. We do not provide connectivity management platform integration. And this is where companies like FlowLive that provide the higher level of the stack are actually integrating their connectivity, their CMPs and CMP integration with the EIM so that you can be sure that before you switch your UICC to a profile, you have actually activated that ICC ID in the CMP and do not turn your devices into potential bricks. So that is a key aspect of that CMP EIM orchestration. And that is definitely things that have been discovered over the course of the testing, that the specifications of SGP.32 really stays within the functioning of RSP in this remote environment, remote managed environment. It adds the ability to support constrained devices and BIoT or others. It has the ability to swap, because it was almost impossible to swap SMSRs. Now you have all these features. It's really for each company to make sure that when they select their suppliers, they select suppliers that actually not only technically support these features, but also commercially enable them. So this is a warning that you'll probably hear me say again and again, as we have faced already some situations where it's probably already too late, but the EIM swap is not going to be available. So transitioning from factory to field, with in-factory profile provisioning, you have the ability to load profiles in manufacturing when the device is manufactured early on or during the staging of those devices. And you have the ability to do that without using activation codes and the download of profiles. A lot of the manufacturing that we work with is not connected on the internet for security reasons. And this is not an option. Activation codes are not an option, or they require manual undertaking in a separate environment, which is very costly. So we have designed now for a few months, made available and implemented commercially, a solution which is pre-SGP.42, or as we say, optimized for Keegan, SGP.42. And it's an enablement of the delivery of profiles using API calls and the ability for manufacturing to have archives of profiles that they can then load securely into their devices, and which protects the security of all the credentials of the connectivity service partners. So simplify manufacturing, go from prototype to full product. I think a lot of the companies that work with Keegan, they know that they can quickly get test environment, access to the test environment and our samples. They can get going with testing within a couple of weeks. They usually go to ability to manufacture in volume within 12 weeks. So we know that this is actually doable and fast, and we've launched it many times now over the course of 2025. This solution, SGP.32, eliminates queue sprawl. because you have in-factory combined with it. Also, SGP.32 is one part of your solution. You can have the need for other solutions that are relying on good old SIM toolkit and AT plus CSIM commands for device integration. And you have the ability to use all the toolkit made available to you in addition to SGP.32. So you can build a very resilient solution which is going to work worldwide for you, providing security if your private network comes to fall for a reason or another, and fail over automatic public, or fail over manage that in the field with SGP.32 to address permanent roaming restrictions, for instance, or just change in your connectivity. So that's really what you have here. Go into operational readiness with all these solutions within a few weeks. Next slide, please. Thank you. What is new, I think, with our solution also, it's not new for our OS that you can patch them remotely. That was already a Keegan feature, which we came to actually test here in real life. We have taken, if you followed a little bit Keegan in the news, we have taken the choice to report security vulnerabilities within the industry to our customers, and also patch the products that needed to be patched in the field. And this is something that Keegan does because we're a security company. We believe that other companies are not necessarily doing it. So it's something that you might want to check with your suppliers or your potential suppliers. But our products are now ESS certified, so this patching is also validated and certified by ESA. So it's now officially stamped. And we've added to it the ability to actually patch via campaign through the EIM. So now you have the ability to remote manage your products, to look at the profiles, download profiles, switch between profiles, but also now the ability to use the same EIM to patch should you ever need to. And that's the peace of mind that we all need when it comes to addressing security. So you have three major frameworks that are now in place. You have Cyber Resilience Act that requires security vulnerability reporting by September of this year. Right? So we're pleased to be able to support all our customers with this ability and the ability to patch the EU ICC that's within their devices. Of course, they have other necessary requirements that they will have to meet with regards to their own devices and whatever they put in their MCU. But that's, we believe that we're doing our part to make sure that they can meet that. That's for products that actually are shipped into the EU. And it comes with a fine if you don't actually meet compliance. Now, for products that you ship to the US, and notably to the government services of the US, then you have the executive order, and then, of course, you have the NIST that I've published already, quite a long list of cybersecurity compliance requirements. So, next, please. So future-proofing, that's key. Future-proofing with SGP.32. Future-proofing with one SKU in IFPP. And then you have secure future-proofing with the patching that is supported by ROS, can be delivered now, of course, over OTA, but also over EIM, and also through the device. So you have all this ability here that is being put together. And I think that the ability of this EIM to do that, in addition to the ease of integration already reported by our partners, this is something that definitely puts our EIM, I would say, a step above what we have seen and heard about what is being provided otherwise. But our EUICC, which is certified with the IPAE, has already been tested against 4 other EIMs. And we've already tested EIM swap between our EIM and their EIM as well, to make sure that we do good per the certification and also per the specification. So I believe now it's going to be time for Nadav to present, or maybe there's another slide for me. Okay, operational readiness. Want to be conscious of the time. So, of course, day 0, you select the various components that have been described in the specification. You know you need a CMP for connectivity aggregation. You need your EIM. You might know day 0, or you might learn as you go to day 1 that you will need applets. And you've selected your provider for the EUICC. And once you start integrating all these pieces, then you realize that you might need more than just a CMP. You need the aggregation of connectivity, but potentially you also need the resilience that a multi-EMC can provide, or a multi-profile applet, such as MRRA. And then when you get into day 2, and the idea is that you've already identified everything that can go wrong in day 1. So we hope that you will have validated your EIM swapping, that you have validated all the testing that you need to do, the integration with your device, and that you're comfortable not only with your devices that support the most chatty protocols for profile downloads, but also that you're testing it with the devices that are also the most constrained. And we know a number of our customers have devices that can be wearables, but also devices that can be trackers. And the same companies can provide different products based on different modules. And they need to be sure that it works across the board so that they don't multiply the SKUs, even in that context. And that's why we've made the polling configuration to the EIM managed by the EIM itself, so that you can change that configuration over time. And you basically are given a lot of flexibility to fine-tune your deployment over time based on the products and where your products are actually located. So you have all these features made available to you. And I think I'll stop here because I probably could take too long. So I'm going to let Nadav explain the highest level of this integration, how it's all put together, and what FlowLive has already prepared for everybody to make it even easier. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Very good introduction or explanation. And as I said, I'm going to take it into the operational view of things. Can you move to the next slide, please? So yes, so now we know what SGP is. It's completely ready. We know what you as a customer need to do in order to make it happen. But what does it mean from the operational side? There are still things that needs to be taken and not related to the product, but as a whole to the ecosystem. So first of all, SGP.32, the basic value of it is that it allows the customer, the enterprises, MVNOs, etc., to purchase directly from MNOs additional profiles, and these can be downloaded to the SIM, right? But in order to do that, you need to have all the commercial terms and the commercial infrastructure behind the scenes set and done. So all these agreements and negotiation between between the user, the enterprise, or the MVNO to the IMSI provider need to be set. Also, in some cases, there will be specific requirements that needs to be met. If it's a specific VPN or an APN or other tool that needs to be connected in order for the traffic to be secured between the device and the application. So this needs to be managed as well. And of course, the CMP. Every profile comes with its own CMP, which is the connectivity management platform to allow monitoring the device usage, the rates, etc. So this needs to be handled as well. Same goes to compliance. Of course, with the most of the time, the downloaded profiles or IMSIs will be local, not all of the time, but most of the time. And so localization will probably be supported, but maybe there is another regulation that needs to be met if it's about the traffic, about security, about data protection. All these needs to be discussed and approved between the customer and the profile vendor. Of course, I talked about the CMP, so it's not just managing the traffic and the billing plan, but also understanding what is the cost at the end of the month or during the month, if it's an online billing, and do the reconciliation. So this needs to be supported by the new vendor as well. And at the end of the day, all these needs to be matched between the different profiles that you have. So this is an excellent solution, but it's not like plug and play. There are things that need to be done behind the scenes in order to support that. Yeah, go ahead. So operationally, what it means, the SGP.32, it actually changes the picture of who is the controller, who owns the switching, who owns the actual day-to-day. You can do that through your application, if it's directed through the IAM, etc. But you need, in order to do that, you need to be prepared, both in people that takes ownership on that, the processes, how to change, when to change the profiles, what the control management of that, what's the process around that, and of course the platform. And all these are beyond provision. Provision is done at the factory. This is done one time. But now that you need the device got to a new territory, or there's another condition that requires downloading a new profile, then it needs the people to maintain it, the process how to do that, and the platform, of course, to initiate and ensure that it works. With this comes changes. There come changes in the components that you all know today. So RSP is now, it has the EIM comes side by side with the RSP. Ram talked about it. It's a new component that needs to be orchestrated and maintained. CMPs now, they are more tied to the local fleets, to the fleets of the vendor that provided the profiles. If you need another profile, so then it comes to orchestration and aggregation, which is I don't know, I hope some of you already know what it is, and I'll talk about it later on, but there are capabilities to aggregate several CMPs from different vendors into one single pane of glass that provides the entire facilitation and orchestration of the different profiles, the billing system, the invoices, etc. What it also provides you is the ability to silently migrate between different configuration, to add additional IMSIs, profiles, use the legacy profiles and SIEMs from one hand, and on the other hand, add the SGP.32 to the fleet, the CMPs and the orchestration system need or can and should support this multi-layer of technology, and it should be transparent for you. So when you choose the technology, make sure that this comes into discussion and consideration as well. Go ahead, please. So to sum this part, to summarize it, we have 3 layers that needs to be taken into consideration. All of these are working together, but it needs to be need to be taken care of. We have the technology, which is the EIM, the IPA, E or D on the SIM or on the device itself, the DP plus that holds the profiles, and of course you need to understand what are the device constraints, which protocols it can support in order to maintain the download and the switching of the profiles. So this is the technology. From the operational side, the customers or the users, they need to keep an eye on the inventory of the profiles, which is done on can be done on multiple systems, depends on the topology and the technology that you choose. To do the actions themselves, monitor the events, and be knowledgeable and troubleshooting if the download failed, what happened to the device, did it move to the bootstrap profile, etc. So all of these consideration needs to be taken into account. And then I spoke also about the business readiness, which needs to be discussed with the profile vendor, the commercial model, compliance, and also migration if it's relevant. So at the end of the day, it's all great, but it's not. It's a process that needs to be maintained and looked upon in order to ensure it's fluent. Great. So I think I spoke about it, but basically what we see here is that there are changes in the current component. Current component that you have today, they can still work. They still work. It's not they can. They still work, both with legacy and, of course, with the new protocol. But their role may change a bit. So in the RSP area, we added the EIM as a logic, and of course, then comes into play the CMP, which provides the entire management layer. So it provides, of course, what's going on the SIEM, how much data is used, SMS, etc., what the billing plans, etc. But it also, the CMP usually connects to the EIM, and can maintain and control the profiles. So once you have the CMP, you can have, through the integration with the EIM, the ability to download and activate or switch the actual profiles on the SIEM, the SGP.32 SIEMs. So the CMPs should be able to help you as a customer in the operational side of that as well. But remember that not all CMPs have the same features, and every profile can bear different CMP. So for you as a customer, you need to be prepared for that, to either maintain few CMPs or have the orchestration layer, the aggregation that I'll just talk about, to maintain everything from one place. I want to highlight this, that also we in FlowLive and other providers as well, we have the multi-IMSI profile. So when you download our profile or use our profile, even in an SGP.32 SIM, we still have the multi-IMSI layer in the profile. So the switching of the component can be managed in 2 layers, either on the SGP.32 layer, but the other component is to use it within our multi-IMSI applet. And if you go to the next slide, you can see how visually how it looks like. So you see here the two SIMs. It's one SIM actually. The global eSIM is the SGP.32 SIM with the different profiles in it. And let's say the first profile is ours, is FlowLive, and you can see that we have up to 10 IMSIs in this applet. So changing the IMSIs can be done on the applet level. In that case, it's not related to SGP.32, it's the regular flow that we have today. And in that case, everything is controlled and managed through our CMP. We support that regardless of any change. But if you want as a customer to move to another MNO profile, let's say MNO2, then this can be instructed through the CMP, but once it's moved, all the signaling data, the billing data, and the plans, etc., should be managed either in a different CMP or through the aggregator. Yeah, so let's move to the next slide. Thank you. So let's talk about the CMP aggregator. As you probably mentioned, understood by now, the CMP aggregator is a single pane of glass that we and other vendors have to connect to different CMPs and get the relevant information about profiles that you're regularly managed by other CMPs. So let's assume you move to another vendor with a CMPA, then the data from CMPA is propagated into our CMP aggregator. That way you can see and benefit from all of the data that we have in the CMP aggregator, and you can have from one application maintain all your SIMs and get full visibility of what the SIM status look like. So the benefits of the CMP aggregator, which I think it's crucial for SGP.32 deployments. If you use SGP deployments from different vendors, profiles from different vendors, you must use an aggregator to have a unified dashboard for all your traffic, to have consistency for your users not to be able to need to log into different applications and learn different applications, but to have everything from one place, to have a visibility, unified visibility and coherent visibility across all the profiles and tenants. Of course, it's very flexible integration. It's not very complex. And you can add and manage the devices from one place, including the legacy devices, of course. So if even different protocols, or if you have several fleets with different CMPs, then all these can be combined and merged into one aggregator that allows faster troubleshooting. And of course, we wouldn't have been here if it wouldn't be SGP.32 ready. So to sum it up, the FlowLive, as a whole, can you move to the next slide? FlowLive as a whole, we provide a global network with local capabilities that all of our IMSI library and also the SGP one provides on a single global SKU. Don't need to manage different views on that, with unified billing, unified API, all managed centrally. We have our applet that can automatically choose the best IMSI, best coverage for the situation. Of course, we support OTA, and the global orchestration that we just talked about is available as well. Last point, all of our signaling and billing data is available for our customers to be downloaded and exported and used by other systems, big data, etc. If they want to use our AI platform or other platforms, this can be done as well. I think this was my last slide. Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, JL, as well as Nadav. This has been fantastic to get a little, sort of a run through, if you will, of the key challenges that enterprise operational teams care about. I've had operational roles in the past, and one of the big things that when I think of IoT deployments and I hear from customers, we're looking at two key elements in terms of operational success. One is avoiding the shock of loss of connection. And that could be, more immediately when devices need to be provisioned, they need to be provisioned in field, they need to be also having the license to have interoperability at a later time in their life cycle. And the second one is the avoidance of a shock in cost, so that the best available carrier connectivity is used at the right price, in the right way, and is integrated into systems such that device visibility and triage can be simplified for all users. So I think this has been fantastic to get a steer from the different orchestrational elements. I think there is actually, I have a bunch of questions that I thought would be interesting to touch upon, but we do have a few questions that have come up on the Q&A, and I'm going to take them first. And it's fantastic that there have already been questions on interest coming through. So please, if anyone else is thinking of a question they would like to discuss with our experts, please do use the chat and make sure that you get your question in within the next few minutes, as we have about 12 minutes of discussion left. So I think the first question goes to these orchestrational elements. And JL, you covered the Keegan EIM. I think one of the features you highlighted as one that supports sort of a better security posture where devices might not be directly connected to the public internet was indirect profile download. Now, this is a concept that has been introduced within this new standard, SGP.32, and it is very much looking at the sort of IoT highly constrained type devices as well. Of course, it doesn't matter whether the device is constrained in any way. This feature also supports higher bandwidth deployments. But could you please expand a little bit on this indirect profile download feature?
Sure, B. So you have in SGP.32 the ability to download your profiles in two ways, direct and indirect. Direct means that the IPA in the device or in the EUICC, so IPAD or IPAE, is going to directly contact the SMDP Plus to download the profile. In the indirect profile download, that IPAD or IPAE is going to communicate with the EIM, and it's the EIM which is going to connect to the SMDP Plus. Now, the major difference here is that not all SMDP Pluses were created the same and have been tested all with all the IPAEs and IPADs. So when we go into direct profile download, we open ourselves to potential interoperability issues on the field. So it has to be very well tested before. And if you have a constrained device, there's likely going to be some issues. And the IPAE requires some specific features from the SMDP Plus, which might not have been implemented in older servers. So indirect profile download is a way to address interoperability with the DP Plus, but also adaptability of the communication protocols to something that the constrained devices can support. So I would say that really is a key feature. Now, that interoperability is with the SMGP Plus fleet, but also with the IPA upcoming fleet, is also another layer of added value, if you want, is the fact that you have now the EIM essentially firewalling all the SMDP pluses to all the devices. So that is also providing some additional cybersecurity.
Understood. So something that would be really important for, say, critical infrastructure or even network constraints where you might need the EIM to essentially store and deliver at a trigger or through some business logic that is more suited to your needs. Fantastic.
Exactly.
Thank
And
you.
we go through all that in trials. Now I see there's another question about whether the EIM has to be SASSM or not.
Right. That would be my
If
next
you
one.
decide that your EIM is going to be implemented with indirect profile download, if you're going to use it as a firewalling feature, then it's good to know that it's also sitting in a cyber security place. And that's what SASSM is about, is really security accreditation. It's a scheme from the GSMA.
And it's about the security assurances such that operating networks will be able to allow the profile download and has been tested against the most the most critical threats that an EIM in such a situation in long device cycles, device lifespans needs to undertake. So fantastic. Thank you for covering that as well. We have a few questions that are coming through in terms of the CMP side of things. So, but also there's some questions on timing. So let's go through one question on the timing, and when will SGP32 be available to be ordered and delivered? Now, I'm not sure if this question relates particularly to eSIMs or the joint offering. There's also a question around the commercial launch and availability of the FlowLive billing system for eSIMs on Keegan EUICC. So I'll let you both provide the timeline on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, John. So the CMP currently supports SGP32. You know, everything is supported through it. The downloading of new profile and managing the profiles will be available very soon. But SIMs that already SGP32 related SIMs can be used and are used. Actually, we have a few customers that use those already with the CMP, and it is available. And in terms of the SIM availability, maybe you should take it, Jean.
Sure. It's available now. So it's certified, so it's available in volume. We have a number of customers that have been testing it and are actually ready to go. So definitely, just like any other Keegan product, available now in volume.
Fantastic. Another question on the CMP. If someone has a different CMP from another vendor, what would be your steer to them? Does the EIM become an orchestration function, or is this something that there is a role for the CMP aggregator?
So if they have the CMP aggregator, then of course it can be done from there. But also Keegan has a solution for that. So the EIM also, maybe Jean, you want to talk about it because you have orchestration capabilities from the EIM directly.
So there are some orchestration capabilities, but they're, I would say, not exactly the types of profile orchestration that you would expect from a CMP perspective. And I'm referring to the use case that was mentioned before, that if you want to switch your EU ICCs, your fleet on an ICC ID on a specific network, you want to make sure that those ICC IDs are activated on the CMP. And so that means that you have to first activate on the CMP and then orchestrate the profile switching. So the EIM will orchestrate the profile switching, but the EIM will not check that these ICC IDs are activated on the CMP. That's where the integration with the CMP becomes important. And that's what we mean by profile orchestration at the CMP level, right? Mm-hmm. So you have really the logic is more at the system level, CMP aggregation level. And then you have the, I would say, just the action to the fleet, which can be orchestrated by the EIM.
Yeah.
Fantastic. A question on the EIM again. Can you tell us something about how does one license the EIM, or does one need Keegan hardware?
So that's an interesting question. The EIM is operating as a SaaS right now from our SaaS SM data center. So I'm not sure which hardware we're referring to here. And you can use different EU ICCs, so the cards of the MFF2 soldered product that you put in your devices can be from Keegan or from other players. And the EIM itself is a SaaS. We can provide the EIM as an on-prem implementation, but it doesn't run on Keegan specific hardware. It's cloud native.
Here we are assuming the hardware is the sort of server-side hardware. We've already answered the question for Keegan EU ICCs, so hopefully you got the answer. And if not, please do come back with any further questions you have. And then the last question that I have on the chat at the moment is regarding the IP-AD. Is it possible to get the source code, or is it necessary to receive the binary files from Keegan's side?
Actually, we provide a reference implementation in C. So yes, companies get the source code for the IP-AD.
Thank you. And I think one question I want to bring in is, in terms of the biggest rules from the operational playbook, right, is to assign clear roles. For anyone listening today, what would be your advice in terms of how they can go about in serving the IoT demand for their businesses? And who would you recommend they take the messages learned today to champion their ideas within their business to really operationalize IoT, or position their IoT products for operational success?
I will let Nadav answer this question.
So from the operational side, I think, as I spoke about it, you need to coordinate few organizations within the organization. If it's the commercial side, from the MNO and the connectivity side, and maybe the compliance and security. But I think who should manage it? It should be the connectivity side, the connectivity person should do that. And I think that in terms of the tools for that, you have the entire tool set here lined up. And I think we've answered this throughout the session. And that's it.
Fantastic. Well, as you know, both of our teams will be heading to MWC Barcelona this year. And you can come and find us, both meet with Keegan's team, Jean-Louis, and our other experts, as well as Nadav and the FlowLight colleagues will be at the locations mentioned on this slide. If you would like to please arrange a discussion, you can do so by dropping into the Flow Live booth or arranging that in advance via the link provided. But we hope today's session has been really helpful. Thank you very much for joining us today. And a huge thank you to our panelists, Jean-Louis and Nadav, for sharing your insights today. As you put it really well, there is a whole tool set that has been laid out for you to take your ideas forward and understand how SGP32 can be brought into a IoT success for your needs, for your business. Thank you, Charlie, for running the sessions behind the scene. And if you'd like to follow up further outside of the MWC invitation, please do get in touch via our websites or get in touch with either of our panelists today. And I hope to see you on the next edition of these Future of SIM conversations.